even the tiniest, most irrelevant decisions or things that you've learned or the habits that you currently have 5, 6, 7 years ago actually take part in forming the person that you are now. So the person that I am now is from all the good and the bad habits that I formed 5, 10 years ago.
The majority of us growing up in the West, we have our hiccups, we have our phases, where the phase where he'll get weak in his iman and slip here or slip there, or even slow down with his salawat and not be on time or whatever it may be. You going through all of that, how was your experience with your salah?
Akhi, salah is a non-negotiable. You look at the deen itself and you look at, there's so many different sins that you can commit. Subhanallah, you're still a Muslim. You look at salah and you leave salah, you're out of Islam. Khalas, intentionally leaving salah, you're out of Islam. So certain things like this are non-negotiable, regardless of where I'm traveling, regardless of what I'm doing. SubhanAllah, even back in the days, the Sahaba, they used to be going through their everyday lives when it came to like their businesses and trade. They heard the adhan, they throw everything and leave. Essentially, I went through a phase of my life, it was actually pretty recent, in fact. I went through a phase of my life where I thought I made it, and this is called youthful exuberance. When you're young and you see a little bit of money in your hand, you see a little bit of success, khalas, subhanAllah, you get this sort of, khalas, like I've made it. I don't really need to put in that much effort. So what happens is you lose momentum, especially when it comes to business, right? A lot of people think that it's a gradual incline. It really isn't. It's actually exponential. So it's very slow, and then boom, it shoots up. Out of nowhere, it just shoots up. Once it shoots up though, you have to keep that momentum and keep applying the pressure on what you're doing. If you miss and if you slow down, you have to go all the way back down to zero. So I remember in one of the businesses, subhanAllah, and with business, it's extremely important to be early and to be fast. So in any industry, you want to be early and you want to execute fast.
Success loves speed, man. In the confused world we live in today, the battle between purpose and doubt is continuous. Broken dreams, unhealthy relationships, false beliefs, lack of knowledge, failed businesses, or even worse, living with no purpose. Join us on a journey to the horizon, a near future where a better version of you lives. Let's have conversations that expand your horizon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Horizon Podcast, where we have conversations that expand your horizon. I'm here with a special guest, a young entrepreneur, Akhi Moayad. كيف حال?
Allah yabarak feek, alhamdulillah, tamam.
Thank you for coming down, man.
Appreciate it.
Coming up, you're from Cork, صح?
Yeah. Long drive.
Long drive. Barakallahu feek for coming down and spending some time with us. Jazakallah khair.
Barakallahu feek.
Moayad, before we get into some of the gems of the lessons that you've learned or the things that you've done, just a quick introduction to the audience, who you are, where you're from, what you do, and so on and so forth.
Inshallah. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. My name is Moayad. An entrepreneur, grew up in Cork and ethnically Libyan as well, just like yourself, alhamdulillah. And yeah, quick, short, sweet introduction.
Alhamdulillah. You come from big family, small family?
My family here is quite small. So we have, well, it's not that small in Irish terms, you know. We have about 5 kids. So I'm the oldest, alhamdulillah. Got 3 sisters and then a younger brother.
MashaAllah. Rabbi yahfadhum kullhum, inshallah.
Allah yabarak feek, Allah yabarak feek.
Akhi, talk to us about growing up in Cork, man. You're the first guest we've had from Cork, so talk to us about Cork, growing up there, down south.
So alhamdulillah, you know, growing up in Cork, look, I didn't come from a difficult situation like probably many of the guests that have come in the past. So alhamdulillah, it was very, very chill. The only difference is in Cork that there's not as much of a big community as there is, for example, in Dublin. So we grew up, obviously, we're foreigners. So the attitude towards you back in the day, even in primary school, for example, I was actually like the only Arab kid. In fact, there wasn't even a black person in my school, you know, so that was a little bit difficult. But alhamdulillah, we made it work.
MashaAllah. Talk to us about school, man. Let's speak about education.
Yeah, so school was a pretty interesting time. Throughout all of primary school, alhamdulillah, I was actually in an all-boys school, right? So there was no mixing. I know these days a lot of the schools are actually turning into mixed schools. So it was an all-boys school, and specifically in all-boys school, the competition usually is extremely high, right? So this was actually something very, very interesting to me. And going on to the story later, I'll be able to talk about a little bit about how this competition in school and this competitive drive in general has taken me, alhamdulillah, to many far places. When it comes to school itself, alhamdulillah, did well. A big aspect of school, alhamdulillah, that I was able to excel a lot was the memorization of the Quran. So when we understand, like in school, this day and age, in the curriculum that we have currently, it's literally all about memorization. It's about being able to memorize certain things and just regurgitating them back in your own words. It's a lot of it is just paraphrasing, you know. So alhamdulillah, I flew through school. Somebody like myself didn't really like to study a lot, but alhamdulillah, we performed very, very well. And yeah, going into secondary school, same story. Alhamdulillah, once again, all boys school. Competition, once again, is extremely, extremely high in these type of places. And yeah, alhamdulillah, performed very, very well in my leaving cert. And we're here now.
MashaAllah. Well, I think that's really powerful, man. Having a surrounding of competition, healthy competition, brothers, a masculine energy around you. There's no wasting time chasing the girls. You know, people are young.
100%.
That's the biggest distraction that the youth go through, is trying to impress this girl or this girl trying to get with this guy or whatever it is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all. But that was a very powerful surrounding that you had that kind of gave you those lessons early, you know.
100%.
Speak to us about any kind of entrepreneurial ideas that were going on maybe in school. Did you have any ideas that came into place? What was the first idea that started to bring in some type of value, not just money, but even value?
Right. So subhanallah, ever since I was young, my dad obviously was a businessman for pretty much his whole life, alhamdulillah. And I've always looked up to him in that regard. So while we were young, about, I think it was around second class, what I got into first of all was coding, you know, programming, C++, Java, everything going on kind of right now.
MashaAllah.
I got into that, and subhanallah, I remember the time when I got into that. One of my first thoughts, I was young, I was about 12 years old. I can't remember what, maybe even younger, in second class. Yeah, so somewhere around that age. And I remember wanting to make my first game, for example, etc. Not realizing that the effort and the hard work that would obviously succumb after. So we started off with coding, etc., etc. It was a little bit difficult at the time. I was pretty young. I remember some days, subhanAllah, I would go into school a little bit early. I would have learned to do something like Hello World or something, go in, explain it to my teacher. You know, they'd gas me up. So I was loving the attention back in the days, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, eventually stopped it just because I simply lost interest. Then my dad put me onto something else. He put me onto video editing, learning Adobe After Effects. My dad also put my sister onto Photoshop, etc. Learned it a little bit. He used to test us. He used to be like, when I come home from work, I want to know exactly what you learned by the end of the day. So he'd come home. Sometimes, you know, I didn't get my things done. He'd get a little bit angry at me, etc. But I lost interest in it once again. So basically just going through, trying different things. And eventually something that caught my interest was creating content. So at a very, very young age, I started essentially regurgitating whatever the educator that I was listening to from the video, and I was creating my own version of it. Right? So I'd look at an Adobe After Effects lesson, take it in, and then just paraphrase it and make my own lesson of it.
Wow.
So this skill in itself, I started it, as I said, very, very young. And subhanAllah, it's managed to take me very, very, very far. That's the skill of being able to talk to the camera. You know, it's an extremely, extremely important skill. After this, I fell kind of out of love with editing and stuff like that. You know, I was young at the end of the day, and where does your head go? Your head goes into gaming, right? It goes into gaming, it goes into playing football, all of these different things. So eventually I went into just creating video content for gaming. Funny part is I didn't even enjoy the gaming part whatsoever. Now, I would sometimes just turn on the laptop, play the game for 10 minutes just to record a quick, to record some quick content, and then khalas, we'd be finished, you know. So yeah, that was pretty much it. And from creating the content itself, you know, from the gaming content, doing this indirectly has helped me build a lot of different skills. So for example, I was able to learn video editing. So a lot of the time, look, what people focus on is trying to learn like one specific thing, like trying to learn the thing itself, instead of doing something that enables you to learn the thing, if you understand what I'm saying. So a lot of people will try to, for example, an example. A lot of people will try to learn video editing itself, right? Instead, do something that you enjoy a lot and then edit it. So for example, I love football, right? I can go record myself doing some football skills, and then from that, I can go edit videos on that. So it's subdirectly engaging and subdirectly engaging in that activity. So that's what I learned. Adobe After Effects, for example. We also learned photo editing, like making the thumbnails, etc. Now, this is very, very important, right? Because once you go into the world of creating content, etc., you start being exposed to the opportunity of that I can make money online. That's a very, very interesting opportunity.
Yeah.
And as I said, for somebody that's been extremely, extremely competitive throughout their whole youth, I've always wanted to perform at the highest, most impeccable level possible, right? So I remember back in the days, I used to play hurling. Me, bro, what am I doing playing hurling? Playing Gaelic football, playing soccer, every single sports team, absolutely everything. I always wanted to perform at the absolute utmost highest level possible. You know, that's the competitive drive that we got, you know, from being in a boys' school. So when I discovered that, naturally, what am I going to think? I'm going to think that I want to also perform very, very well and, you know, explore the opportunity of potentially making money online. So once that door was open for me, the rest is history.
You had the formula, Akhi, you know. I think what's important, what you said, was going back to your father. You know, him having to just push you into different elements that you weren't even aware of, but he could see something starting to blossom from that skill and realize that if he does this long enough, one day this skill is going to help him somewhere.
100%.
Fair play to your dad, man. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put blessings in his life and give him barakah. What was the first money-making activity or money-making product that you got into, and what happened there? Talk to us about that.
So this is actually interesting, right? Because one of the first things that I did was, I believe you might know a site called Fiverr.
Yeah.
So it's essentially a freelancing website where you're able to sign up, become a freelancer, and do different jobs for people. So with someone of my background that was able to like edit videos, someone that was able to edit like different pieces of content, like graphics, make thumbnails for YouTube videos, gaming videos, etc. I explored it. My dad actually put me on, once again, subhanAllah, he put me on to this as well. He said, you become really good at coding, people are making like an extreme amount of money online, you know, from making different websites, programming different softwares, etc. Well, obviously, I didn't become a coder, but I always had that in the back of my mind. And once I found that, you know what, I'm actually pretty good at, you know, editing videos, editing little bits of pieces of different content, I can potentially put this to use. So subhanAllah, I signed up and put up a gig. So essentially you're able to like put up like an ad that, oh, I can create content for you, I can do this for you, etc., etc. And
you're basically getting jobs, but getting opportunities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for the first few months, absolutely nothing. You know?
How old are you?
Nothing. Akhi, wallah, I was young. I was maybe about 15 years of age. Yeah, so...
Young man, mashallah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. But a couple of months, absolutely nothing happened. At the same time, you know, I was continuing the gaming channel, whatever it is, continuing. SubhanAllah, out of nowhere, I actually paid somebody, right, which is extremely, extremely important. It'll bring us probably on to another point in a little while about mentorship. Yeah. I paid someone like 30 euro. They told me this. I sell as well. I can get you your first gig. Just pay me 30 and I'll teach you how. Straight away, I paid it. SubhanAllah, like 2 days later, I got my first gig. With these type of like platforms, the more reviews, etc., you get more referrals. You look more trustworthy. Once that happened, the rest was history. I mean, I made about like 2,000 euro from that platform alone. Once, subhanAllah, you have that money in your hand at such a young age, you do get like a sense of, subhanAllah, it's like a sense of power that you can do so much more.
Sense of achievement, isn't it?
Exactly, is what is. It's a dopamine rush in itself. And once you get that dopamine rush, as I said, the rest is history. You always want to constantly chase at the end of the day.
Did you realize at a young age that I'm going to figure my way through these opportunities? Or did you realize at a young age, I want to follow a career path, getting an education, get a job, build a career? Where was that point that you thought, I'm either going to go this way or this way? How old were you at that point?
I was still around 15, 16. Once I made my first money online, my mind was made up. There was no going back on this. Once I was 15, 16 and I seen that I could make money online at such a young age, my mind was made up. I mean, the teachers in school would ask me, I'd avoid the business talk, etc., because they do take the piss out of you at the end of the day. You know, they mock you, they joke with you, etc. So I used to come up with random like careers every once in a while. I want to become a pilot. I want to be a technician. I want to do this. I want to do that. But once I seen the possibilities there, khalas, I was gonna stick all the way through to the end.
You know, as I got older, Moayad, I realized that every job is so important, man. The cleaner guy, he's super important. The guy that is in the office dealing with all the admin, he's super important. Every job is super important, but at the same time, some people are not built for a career. They're built to become entrepreneurs, to take risks, to take hits. Some people are able to take hits, bro.
I agree.
They can take a hit, fall on their face flat, and figure a way how to get up quite fast And the faster that they get up, they realize there's another level, there's another level, there's another level. I need to go after this and this and this. And I appreciate both. I appreciate both those who achieve the educational milestones and to build a career for themselves, and also for those who become severe and serial entrepreneurs, like even my older brother, Abdullah. He's the same mentality, man. He's just serial entrepreneur. You know, when he sees obstacles, he sees opportunities of growth.
Yeah.
When in some people that choose maybe a career path, that might be too heavy for them. That might be too much of a risk for them to take, you know. So I applaud both and I respect both.
100%.
Talk to me about your relationship with the Quran, akhi. You said memorization was a very good skill that you've learned and you apply that into the Quran. How has the Quran played an effect in your life growing up as a teenager in Cork?
So for as long as I can remember, alhamdulillah, I mean, my parents have drilled and instilled this into me since I was young. Just constant memorization, constant learning. Alhamdulillah, I was able to reach about half of the Quran in memorization. And alhamdulillah, I'll continue to finish it, inshallah, in the future. Inshallah. So when it came to it, essentially we were revising every single day, and we had to memorize, I think it was like 3 pages of the Quran every single week. So we were going through that.
The whole family?
No. So it'd be me and my sister, right? So
Mashallah.
yeah, it was me and my older sister, and the focus was kind of on both of us.
Yeah.
You know, the rest were very, very young at that time.
Yeah.
Some of them weren't even born. So yeah, we were memorizing like every single week, 3 pages. And subhanallah, it was like some of the toughest times, because I remember like we used to not finish the pages, and we used to be up for the whole day. We were kids, so you know what we used to do is we used to leave it to the whole last day and learn the 3 pages in the last day. You know, so we were up the whole night, and my dad was wallahi strict with it. So like,
fair play to him, man.
Yeah, and alhamdulillah, you see the consequences of his actions now, and you see like, wow, the times we used to get slaps on our hands, the times where we used to get only 2 mistakes per like the 3 pages, and if you made those mistakes, you were starting all the way from the start. You only realize the benefits of it now
as you get older.
Wallah.
Subhanallah.
Wallah.
Wow, bro. Yeah, go ahead.
So this skill in itself, and I do believe that Quran memorization is a skill. It enables you to learn things extremely fast, and especially at a young age, young people, right? Which is why, you know, they like everywhere in the world, subhanallah, especially in the Muslim countries, they try instill and drill the Quran into their mind at a very, very young age, because that's when the mind is a sponge. As you grow older, you have more responsibilities, you have more stresses, it becomes very, very difficult. Well, this skill of memorization in itself has went on and helped me become extremely successful in other aspects of life, including the Leaving Cert itself, including even in primary school. You know, subhanallah, I managed to get decent enough points. I was about like 440 points, which is alhamdulillah above average. It's not like the highest amount of points, but it's above average. And I did pretty much 0 studying, and it all came all the way back to the memorization of the Quran.
Discipline of memorization.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's there's actually a very, very interesting law, right, called second order consequences. And in this law, essentially it states that essentially when we take a look at everything that happens in life, there's 2 things that balance it, right? There's the cause and effect. There's the law of effort and result. So essentially, one thing has to happen in order for a reaction to happen, right? But very rarely do people realize that it never stops at that, because energy is always flowing, right? Yeah. So it never stops at that. So for every action, there's a reaction, but to that reaction, there's also an action and a reaction, and it's like a constant
like a ripple
state.
Effect.
Exactly. Yeah. So when people look at certain things in their life right now, for example, let's say back in the Leaving, so I look at myself and I'm like, oh, my memorization skills are extremely good. A lot of people associate that with the nearest term like thing that essentially helped them, not realizing that there was actually a ripple effect. So even the tiniest, most irrelevant decisions or things that you've learned, or the habits that you currently have 5, 6, 7 years ago, actually take part in forming the person that you are now. So the person that I am now is from all the good and the bad habits that I formed 5, 10 years ago, not the habits that I was doing yesterday or the day before, the week before. You know, so it's an extremely interesting concept.
You know, I had a podcast with Echi Ayman and I spoke about this, and I said, be patient with your learning. Be patient with developing yourself. Like 100%. Everybody's trying to get that, because we live in such a fast-paced world.
Agreed.
You click a button, you get what you want. You're hungry, click a button, Domino's at your door in 20 minutes knocking on your door. You want to get a flight, you click a button, you got the flight, you got the hotel, you got your car booked, you got everything from clickbait really. So when it comes to success, when it comes to pursuing the good habits, the correct characteristics, that stuff takes time, man. You can't click a button and get that. You have to go through it in order for you to go through it. It's very simple, you know?
100%.
And the more people that realize, hence why we set up something like this as a podcast. We want the youth and younger people to realize that these are the things that really matter, man. If you focus on these things, you too can have, you know, some parts of success, bi'idhnillah, or even more than anything that we've achieved, bi'idhnillah. Let's talk about what was the most expensive lesson within your life, something that cost you time, effort, money. What was that lesson that you could look back and say, that was a lesson that really cost me, man?
Mm-hmm. I've made it. That was the most expensive lesson. So essentially I went through a phase of my life. It was actually pretty recent, in fact. I went through a phase of my life where I thought I made it, right? And this is called youthful exuberance. When you're young and you see a little bit of money in your hand, you see a little bit of success, khalas, subhanAllah, you get this sort of, khalas, like I've made it. I don't really need to put in that much effort. So what happens is you lose momentum, especially when it comes to business, right? A lot of people think that it's a gradual incline. It really isn't. It's actually exponential. So it's very slow, very slow, very slow. And then boom, it shoots up. Out of nowhere, it just shoots up. So once it shoots up though, you have to keep that momentum and keep applying the pressure on what you're doing. If you miss and if you slow down, you have to go all the way back down to zero. So I remember in one of the businesses, subhanAllah, and with business, it's extremely, extremely important to be early and to be fast. So in any industry, you want to be early and you want to execute fast.
Success loves speed, man.
100%. So I was very, very fast in one of the businesses that I did. Not much people in the industry. Very, very niche business, right? I started and subhanAllah, it was free flowing. It was easy. I didn't even have to try. No sales funnels, nothing. It was just like presenting something to people and they were buying. So at that point, I thought I made it, you know, probably made my first 100 grand from that business itself. And I thought I made it. And then slowly as the months pass by, revenue's decreasing. It's decreasing. And the money in my account is also decreasing. And I'm chilling. Akhi, at that time, what am I doing? I'm booking flights to Italy. I'm booking flights to France. I'm booking flights to Turkey, Morocco, just enjoying life. I mean, probably spent like 20 grand per year just on holidays itself. You know, it was a funny time. And eventually I reached the time, subhanAllah, where I just realized that I've lost it all. Like I literally have not everything that I've built, I've lost. Even the brand itself, I've lost it. For the simple fact is that I didn't keep the momentum up. I didn't keep the pressure up. Exactly. And once you do, you have to once again go into gear 1, gear 2, gear 3 to bring it all the way up again.
Yeah. This is the life of an entrepreneur, man. Some of these lessons, they cost a lot of money, a lot of time, 100%. A lot of effort. Let's go into traveling, Akhi. Traveling, I believe, traveling is so important, and I think it does so much to character building. It opens your eyes to reality, it humbles you to a degree where you understand that some people are living in conditions that you never even thought were possible, you know. Traveling to all these places, what are some of the lessons that you've learned about yourself and the things that you want to install into your life from just traveling alone?
So subhanAllah, with my traveling, I always approached it with a specific type of balance. And subhanAllah, in everything in life, you need to always approach everything with balance. So I've always went to specific countries, and some of them had a motive behind them, that this was a purely enjoyment based setting. Okay, so I'm going to that 5-star hotel, I'm going to like this place where it's like the beaches, etc., simply to just enjoy. Then there were certain countries that I went to for the sole purpose of I'm going to learn something here. So some of the countries that I went to, subhanAllah, was Turkey. Countries that I went to was like Morocco. And in these specific places, I made sure that I put myself in uncomfortable situations, visiting the most poorest of poorest places, going deep into the mountains, traveling by myself. I mean, one of the first traveling experiences that I had was when I was 18 years of age, completely by myself. You know, you get to learn how to speak to different people. You get to learn how to understand somebody from their body language and the way that they speak and their tone, and you don't even understand the language that they're speaking in.
Very aware.
Exactly. Yeah. Spatial awareness. You understand certain places where should I be going. You understand different cues in the environment.
Things to look out for.
Exactly.
Red flags,
danger, etc. Yeah. So you do learn a lot about yourself. And the thing is, it's a very subjective thing. So it's not that you learn like new things. It is, I guess, essentially. It's not that you learn new things though. It's just revealing things that you already had within you, like certain
It's experiences.
shortfalls.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Experiences that you get into
100%.
that make you realize things.
100%.
Incredible, Akhi. Look, I'm loving the podcast. We're going to take a quick break. So, guys, stay tuned. We'll be back shortly, inshallah. Salam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Horizon Podcast. We're having an incredible conversation here. This one's for the youth, really. If you guys are young and you're watching this, take some notes, man. It's important that you take on these bits of information and apply them into your life. But Moayad, let's speak about mentorship, Akhi. Mentorship, I'm all about it. I've been about it since day one. I think it's extremely important to have a coach, whether it's a fitness coach, whether it's a mental health coach, whether it's a entrepreneurship coach. It's important because in order for you to continue to grow, you need information that will help you grow. You know, they say the same information. They say if you do the same thing over and over again, that's the explanation of insanity. Yeah, and you have to switch things up. In order for you to switch things up, you need to have information, bro. Things need to switch up in regards to what you know and how you know it. Mm-hmm. And that's why mentorship is so important. Talk to us about mentorship, bro. Did you get mentorship? Who from? What happened?
100%. So, life is a competition, right? And as you said yourself, speed and executing things very, very fast is extremely, extremely important. I think time in itself is a paradox that much people don't understand. And I mean, subhanAllah, as much as my understanding and as much as my research has went into just the paradox of time itself, I'm still very, very clueless and obnoxious to it, to be honest. You know, with mentorship, I believe that it's extremely, extremely important because once again, it's simply just a tool, like many different things in life. It's a tool to get you to your destination, but it's a tool to get you to your destination in a much, much faster manner, right? So when it came to mentorship, alhamdulillah, I've received and I've also given. So in many of the businesses that I've done before, one of my main jobs actually was giving mentorship, teaching people, dealing with a lot of different people. That in itself, giving mentorship in itself, subhanAllah, taught me more about myself and more about my business than I probably was teaching people itself. Wow. It's a very, very, subhanAllah, like unique kind of an anomaly, I guess, you know. So it's very, very interesting indeed. And I've also availed of different mentorships. And subhanAllah, I was always the type of person that I didn't really like to spend on myself. When it came to spending on family, when it came to spending on friends, no problem. When it came to like just spending on anything that doesn't actually benefit me or doesn't please me, no problem. But when it came to myself, I was extremely, extremely tight. And then, subhanAllah, you know, just looking at different videos, looking at the successful people and what are they doing. And you hear one recurrent thing, that each and every single one of them always invests in themselves and invests in their knowledge, you know. So alhamdulillah, I mean, anything that you want to do, and in anything that you can excel and you want to excel in, there's always somebody that's going to be able to teach you how to get there faster and more effectively. That's extremely, extremely important because at the end of the day, life is a competition and you need to get there faster. So if it means that all I have to do is spend €1,000 on a course or €2,000 on a mentorship program, and I'm going to get to that destination where I probably would have gotten there as well by myself, but it would have taken me maybe about 3-4 years. If I can get there in 1 year by spending that 2 to 3K, no problem. That's a bet that I'll take every single time. So I do believe that mentorship is extremely, extremely important in anything. And as you climb the ladder, essentially, and as you find yourself at higher levels in business, in fitness, in your deen, in everything, you're always going to need a mentor. So there's things such as, for example, I have a performance coach, helping me with my performance, help me how to even organize my brain, how to organize like different routines and certain things in business. I've got mentorships in, for example, fitness, you know, people helping me get to the next level in my fitness journey, whatever it is. In deen, subhanallah, there's mentorships everywhere for this sort of thing. So I think it's extremely, extremely important.
What type of mentorship did you get involved in? Where did you invest your money in regards to gaining more information? Name a program or a coach that you worked with.
So when it came to a lot of the mentorship that I've received, alhamdulillah, it was widely, freely available on YouTube. And then I realized that I need something a lot faster, right? So then
something personal as well.
Exactly. So then I started investing in different courses, programs, videos. And then I realized, you know what? You still need a little bit of an extra step. Okay, you still need a bit of an extra step forward, a more personal connection, right? So invested in a little bit more mentorships with different people, you know, when it came to business, etc., etc. But one mentorship that I did invest in, subhanallah, that really, really stood out to me is with a dear brother of mine. His name is Fawaz, and this was actually a performance coaching with him. So he started his performance coaching journey, subhanallah, and he gave me forward the idea. He told me book a free call with me. I hopped on that free call, and at that time, I was in a bad state, subhanallah. I was actually in France at the time, and I was in a very bad state, I wasn't feeling comfortable in the heart. You know when you're doing well on the outside, but on the inside, exactly. Yeah. You just feel very, very uncomfortable. Something is down upon you.
Something's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And subhanAllah, in those 30 minutes that he was speaking to me, it's just a quick consultation, free call, right? He just gave me so many pointers that the next day I told him, I'm in. I just want in. You know, he took me in, and ever since then, subhanAllah, the investment that I put into it.
How much did you invest into that program?
This program was 2,500 euros.
Okay, 2,500 euro. Talk to me about the return on investment of that 2.5k. What's that done for you specifically?
You're not going to believe it. From a monetary perspective, subhanallah, in literally a couple of months, and it's always just very, very specific and small points when it comes to mentorship. It's never actually really something extremely, extremely big. A lot of the time, for example, the mentor will tell you things that you probably already know. But the sharp human, right, the sharp individual is going to have all of their ears open and be able to take out the little golden nuggets within the massive information that you do receive from your mentor. Yeah. So these little things, all it cost me was 2,500 euros. We're talking 10-fold, 20-fold, 100 times return on that 2,500 euro investment. Which is why, subhanallah, you give me a program that I do see the value in it, I see the worth, and I see who is actually carrying out that program. I'll invest 100k. That's not a problem for me.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in Fawaz's organization. I can vouch for the brother, man. I've been closer to him recently, and he's a sharp guy, man. He's very really sharp. A sharp guy. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him, protect him from any ayn. You know, it's when you're out there doing this type of work, you're gonna get ayn, you're gonna get jealousy, you're gonna get nice. I make dua for the brother, man. He's a great brother. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect him. Akhi, tell me this. What was the most month generated financially for you? How much money did you make?
So, as I said, when it came to monetary growth, it was very, very exponential for me. Right. So we were talking, maybe like 10 grand a month. Like 2 years ago, something like that. And then out of nowhere, subhanallah, actually after taking Fawaz's mentorship as well, subhanallah, very, very recently, in my most recent month, I hit 6 figures a month.
MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah.
That's insane, bro. How old are you at this point?
I was in my 20s, yeah.
21, 22?
No, I was around 20, 19, 20.
Wow.
20, yeah.
That's crazy, bro. 20 years of age, 6 figures a month. Let me ask you this, bro. You made that kind of money. You're 20.
Yeah.
You're full of energy, really.
Hey, wallah.
Did you not go down the dark route? Did you not go down the desired path? Because when you have all that money in front of you, you get a lot of distractions. 100%. Distractions will no longer appear in front of you. They'll come knocking on your door, and they'll demand that you get distracted, whether it's a desire, whether it's a bad habit, whether it's a bad friend, whether it's the wrong place at the wrong time. How do you control that, or how do you protect yourself from that, akhi?
100%. So as you said, you do come across a lot of desires, and they do come knocking on your door. And I actually do remember one of your previous podcasts, subhanAllah, I don't remember the exact individual, but I do remember listening to it. Could have been Fawaz's podcast as well, or I don't think it was Ayman. But in one of the podcasts that you had as well, somebody said that some people actually just don't even have the capability to do haram, even if they wanted to.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was him, yeah. So some people, even if they wanted to, they can't do it. But when you're at a specific level, subhanAllah, it comes knock on your door. Especially for somebody like me, for example, I'm 18, I'm 19, I'm traveling to different countries. I have the money to do so. Alhamdulillah, these things just come knocking on your door. And the only way to protect yourself is to have a strong and powerful community that are going to keep you in check. This is extremely, extremely important, and actually a point that I only recognized very, very recently. Because in the place that I live, for example, we don't actually have a very, very strong brotherhood. And that's something that I'm actually looking to invest in right now. Alhamdulillah, I'm looking to make hijrah maybe by the end of this year. Ameen, inshallah. Ameen. Inshallah, to a Muslim country. Because I do recognize that your environment has a very, very direct impact on who you are. So hanging around the wrong people, it's only evident, and it's only a matter of time that you're going to go down the same route. As-sahib is-sahib, right? So your friend is the one that pulls you, regardless of what you think, regardless of what you believe, regardless of how much discipline that you have. Another quote, I think by Warren Buffett, is the 5 people around you are, what's the quote again?
The 5 people around you are the basically the calculation.
You're the sum of the 5 people around you.
Yeah, the sum of 5 people
100%.
around you. That's
exactly. Right. And a lot of these things are very, very cliche, right? Very, very cliche. But when you but when you really break it down, even the weirdest quotes, like, oh, stay strong, never, don't give up. When you actually look at them, right, these cliche things, you start realizing that, it's actually true. You just have to break it down. So brotherhood is extremely, extremely important. And I do not care what brother checks me. SubhanAllah, this brother could be, sinning every single day I see him, but if he checks me and if it brings me value, alhamdulillah, I'm listening. There's brothers that are younger than me and they're checking me. Brothers that are older, they're checking me. So this is extremely, extremely important. In fact, one of my most recent trips, I went to Dubai. I booked the flight one day before the actual trip, just because I knew Fawaz was there. I knew the value that I'm going to get from him. First of all, my deen, my iman is going to skyrocket. Exactly, because the actions that he takes on a daily basis are directly going to impact me as well, because that's the environment that I'm in. Same when it came to business, just listening to him talk, listening to him, like recording his content, for example, that in itself is going to benefit me. So people really, really, really underestimate the power of brotherhood. You need a very, very strong brotherhood beside you.
Even Fawaz has this thing right now where he's building, which is called the inner circle.
You're right.
And I agree with you. And I've been a part of inner circles in the past. And inner circles are they're accountability circles, really. But touching on you traveling and alhamdulillah making the money that you made, how was your relationship with the Salah, akhi? Because look, from what I understand of my short life being in this world, everybody has ups and downs, bro. It's for someone to grow up having everything on check, their salawat, their ibadat, illa ma rahima rabbi. Some brothers like Suhaib, Allah yarahma, who passed away from our community, who drowned, he was a brother that was one out of 100,000, 1 out of a million, bro. He's so clean cut. Allahumma barik. Inshallah Rabbi yataqabbal minna shuhada ya Rabb. But the majority of us growing up in the West, we have our hiccups, we have our phases, where the phase where he'll get weak in his iman and slip here or slip there, or even slow down with his salawat and not be on time, or whatever it may be. You going through all of that, how was your experience with your salah?
Akhi, salah is a non-negotiable. You look at the deen itself and you look at, there's so many different sins that you can commit. And subhanAllah, you're still a Muslim, but it's a sin. You look at salah and you leave salah, you're out of Islam. Khalas, intentionally leaving salah, you're out of Islam. So certain things like this are non-negotiable. So regardless of where I'm traveling, regardless of what I'm doing, subhanAllah, even back in the days, the Sahaba, they used to be going through their everyday lives when it came to their businesses and trade. They heard the adhan, they throw everything and leave. These days, subhanAllah, your friend is telling you, we can maybe ajma' al-dhahr and asr, push it a little bit, etc. Salah is definitely a non-negotiable. It's at the end of the day, it's only 5 prayers, right? Let's say it takes you 10 minutes per prayer. Let's say it takes you 5 minutes per prayer. 5 multiplied by 5, what is that? 25 minutes. That's 25 minutes of communication with your Creator, communication with your Lord, the one that has allowed you and blessed you to even breathe right now. So when you really look at it from that perspective, it is a non-negotiable. There is absolutely no way that I can skip my salah. There's absolutely no way that I can delay my salah. Fajr, you have to wake up for Fajr. So it is a non-negotiable for me, alhamdulillah. Obviously, when I was younger, a lot of us, I guess, we get carried away, we get distracted. Sometimes on Fajr, we're not doing wudu, we're trying to trick our parents. Then when you grow up, you realize that, I'm not tricking my parents, I'm tricking myself. I'm the fool.
Facts.
So, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, bro. I love that you said that, akhi. And the reason why I pointed that out is because some brothers need to realize, non-negotiable is non-negotiable. There's no way you can get around certain things. 100%. Certain things, there's no way.
I agree.
Certain things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you leeway. For example, in Ramadan, if you can't fast, if you're ill, you have a license, عندك رخصة. you can fast another day. If you're not able to perform Hajj, you have a license, you don't have to. If you're not able to give zakah and you're very poor, you have a license, you can receive zakah.
The deen has been simplified for you, Allah.
Simplified. Salah.
Non-negotiable.
حتى لو معاق ما عندكش حل. There's no
your
options. Yeah, absolutely. Subhanallah, that's incredible, man. So tell me, Moayad, where you at right now and what you got going on for the next year? What's 2024 looking like for you?
Subhanallah. So I'm at a year in my life, I guess, where I have to be a little bit selfish. You know, I have to be a little bit selfish in order to reach the next level. I think that life comes in phases, right? Life comes and goes in phases. And there's specific phases where you have to give a lot, but there's specific phases where you have to take in a lot as well. And once again, going back to the law of one thing to one thing, law of effort and result, in order for you to be able to give, you also have to take a lot as well. So I am in a phase of my life, subhanAllah, where I'm just investing in myself a lot of time alone to myself. But it all builds up to the eventual end goal. And one of my main goals is, you know, looking back at my childhood, looking up to even a lot of YouTubers, you know, a lot of Muslim YouTubers, etc. And you see as they reach success, as they become millionaires, they start fading away slowly from the deen. Slowly, you know, slowly they're putting music maybe in their content. And then slowly, they eventually start reaching like clubbing in their videos and stuff like that. Astaghfirullah. And it upsets you as a child because it's like, I'm looking up to you. I've looked up to you for a couple of years now of my life. And you've now reached this level. So I want to be in a position to be and reach the highest of levels in the dunya in order to make sure that you at this day and age are able to stay on their deen and achieve the akhirah. So this is my goal right now. And in order for me to be able to achieve that, in order for you to be able to preach, you have to be in a position of authority. And in order for me to be a position of authority saying that, alhamdulillah, I'm a wealthy person, I've reached specific levels in life which is desirable to many different people, yet I've still continually managed to stay on my deen. I want to show people that the deen and the luxurious dunya can go hand in hand, and that's not a problem.
I definitely agree. I think having an ambition, pursuing targets, having dreams and goals
100%.
is so important, akhi, because all the skills that you're learning from there, if you're on your deen, if you really are sincere with your deen, you have the good brothers around you, like you said, the environment is clear, you're going to be that role model one day for somebody. And the same way you said, I looked up to this person. I had the same experience, actually. When I was growing up, I looked up to certain people. And what I've realized growing up and starting to really practice my deen more, the only one I need to look up to is the Prophet Muhammad. Do you get me? That's the only one I need to look up to.
Wallah.
He is the perfect example. Yani, the only pure example that we should follow. Everything else around us should be a means of us getting closer to Jannah by following the Prophet Muhammad. Yani, if I'm learning from this coach and this coach and this coach and this coach, my ultimate coach and my ultimate guideline is the Prophet Muhammad. All these other coaches are just a part of it. Does that make sense? They're not the center core.
Yeah.
They're not the core. Subhanallah, I thank you for that, akhi. Before we come to a conclusion, you know, if you could maybe even look into the camera, akhi, and just give a few tips on even your younger self. If you could talk to your younger self, or if you could talk to the youth right now directly, what would that message be?
So I'm going to give you a business tip, right? One of the main important things, and it's actually something that I'm doing right now, is the ability to be able to talk to the camera and the ability to actually just be a charming person in general. So a lot of people struggle with that for the simple fact is that, you know, we live in a very, very digital society, very digital age where everything is texting. Everything is, you know, on the phone. Even the communication that to do is everything is FaceTime. Develop the basic skills. Go back to the foundation. Go back to being able to speak to people. You know, when you're buying your coffee, talk to the waiter. Talk to the, what are they called? The baristas, I think. Yeah. Talk to the barista. That's not a problem. Communicate with people. Build your confidence. Build your charisma, because this skill on its own will take you further than anything ever will.
Inshallah. Jazakallah al khair, Moayad. Thank you again for coming down to the podcast.
I appreciate it.
And for those who are watching this, stay tuned. Make sure you guys are subscribing. If you're not subscribing, what are you doing, man? Come on, man. Be a part of the movement. Horizon, we're here to have conversations that will expand your horizon. Jazakallah al khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.